comic book fans to Potbelly Gamers, hashtag Pullthis for Wednesday, June 7th, 2017. I'm your host, Glenn Kremp, aka Leaps in Six, and this is my top choices for the comics released this week. Alright, you might have seen the news everywhere kind of being leaked out yesterday from DC Comics, Warner Brothers, well not Warner Brothers, USA Today. Everybody put it on for Batman number 24. I grabbed both comic covers just for this one. This is a pretty huge issue in Batman's life. It starts off with Batman and Gotham Girl kind of talking about it, and as we last seen Batman through the button, he had a huge choice where his father actually told him, give up the mantle, don't be Batman. So the rest of this comic issue here is him kind of having a monologue with both Catwoman, as she's kind of in her apartment getting ready and jumping from rooftop to rooftop, with him during the day dealing with Gotham Girl and actually having a conversation about him being the hero and what it takes to be the hero, and if he really wants to do it, and what sets him apart from, as Gotham Girl says in this, the other heroes that there's a lot of people that put on the mask, but he chooses it, and kind of a lot talking about him being scared, and him being scared a lot of the times is what separates him, I would take, from the villains in the DC universe. Now, obviously the big thing here is also with him and Catwoman, rooftop to rooftop. He finally meets her. It's a nice rainy night, and they kind of have a nice little rooftop chat about the first time they met, which is, I believe it was on a boat, and she's stealing a diamond. And I will say, this is obviously always spoiler because it's everywhere in the news now. At the end of this comic this week, Batman takes the diamond that Catwoman originally stole, he put it into a ring, and he proposes to Selina Kyle Catwoman. Huge spoiler, I know. First time kind of Batman's ever proposed to people. He's been in love. He's seen how other relationships. I think we can go back to the 50s where him and Lois Lane actually got married at one point. But this is kind of the first big time where we've seen a real relationship change. And I think this really comes from the button and the way he's been acting through that, finding out his father wanted to take on more. Really good issue. I think this is going to really set something going forward. Obviously, we don't see Selina Kyle's response to this. But again, the art in this issue is absolutely phenomenal. I want to say David Finch did pencils. Clay and Seth Mann also did pencils and ink. Absolutely, the art is breathtaking. And as I've been saying week after week, Tom King again killing it. Like I said, I can't wait for the next issue to see where the proposal goes. But it's, again, another monumental issue for Batman and just continuing his story. Alright, here we go. Marvel's Star Wars Darth Vader #1. Now, as you know, they originally, when Marvel kind of retook over the Star Wars line, they already issued a Darth Vader #1. So this is the 2017 Darth Vader #1. This comic was awesome. This comic starts right at the end of Revenge of the Sith. So Emperor Palpatine has Anakin, and it starts right at the end where Darth Vader kind of walks out of the creation chamber, and he starts with the infamous "No!" But this one is so much more badass how they do it with the "no." We get a little bit more into, I guess, the history of the Sith to a point, and more importantly, Emperor starting his training of Darth Vader. So this really is a great story that is taking place right from Revenge of the Sith. It's going to carry on and probably take us up into Rogue One, which is very exciting. So what we're going to learn here is how Vader gets his lightsaber. Now, the one thing we do see in this comic is Palpatine does explain how a Sith comes across to a lightsaber. We learn that the Sith steal the Kyber crystals, which, if you know, the Kyber crystals go into the lightsaber, and they steal them from the Jedi. Now, the pain and anger that a Sith feels bleeds, or as Palpatine says, goes into that Kyber crystal, changing it to red, which signifies the Kyber crystal bleeding out, which is a really awesome read for this issue. Highly excited if you're a Star Wars fan, or obviously a comic fan, reading Darth Vader 2017 issue #1. Highly exciting. It says Palpatine puts him onto a planet without his lightsaber and tells him, go find your lightsaber now. Very excited story for this week. And last, we'll go with Amazing Spider-Man #28. Very good. This is the final between Peter Parker and Norman Osborn. as we get into it, we know Norman Osborn has kind of taken control of Silver Sable's country, and he's having mass weapons happening there. So Silver Sable is deciding that she's going to take him out. Peter Parker decides, okay, I'm going to track down Norman Osborn. What does happen is a really kind of awesome story here as well, is that Norman Osborn releases a toxic gas. Last time we seen this, I think it was in Amazing Spider-Man number 98, where it actually turns Peter Parker normal. So his spider senses is gone. So he's a regular guy, still has his weaponry, but the last thing as they're running through this castle is Norman Osborn has like a EMP, I guess, device, hits that, takes away all of his technology, so his web slingers no longer work. And what's really cool is his eyes, also his eye vision doesn't no longer work, so he has to rip out his eyes in order to fight him, and he ends up fighting Norman Osborn as a regular guy. So you see him tripping downstairs, which is kind of funny, but the actual physical fight they take is pretty good. And we do learn through this that Norman Osborn does mention to Peter Parker that I could have killed you long ago, but he just enjoys beating him down to show that he is much smarter than him. It's a very interesting in-depth article, or in-depth comic between the relationship between Norman Osborn and Peter Parker. I do really enjoy the last bit of the fight scene where finally they're fighting and Peter Parker just ends up collapsing, which is kind of funny just through sheer being beaten. The important thing at the end of this comic is that because of what Parker Industries going into that country illegally, Silver Sable's country illegally, Nick Fury does come down with S.H.I.E.L.D. and does tell Peter Parker that they are terminating the contract that Parker Industries has with S.H.I.E.L.D. And as you see near the end of that comic, they do talk about, hey, S.H.I.E.L.D. was our biggest contract. So it's kind of setting it up for, I don't want to say the downfall of Parker Industries, but very interesting where this is going. It's time for quick hits. Just a couple of other titles that also came out this week that were really great reads as well. Gonna start off with the third part, Rogue One, the Star Wars story number 3. We've been reviewing this because it does kind of retell the Rogue One story, but also has been putting in the deleted scenes or the extra scenes we might have seen in trailers and stuff like that. So again, this just takes place and is a very fun read as well if you wanted to see some of those extra scenes that were in Rogue One. And we got DK3, The Master Race, Book 9. This is the final book in the DK3 storyline with Frank Miller, Brian Azzarello, all those great contributors to that. We do have that ending, so that's a good pickup this week if you have been collecting the very long process of getting this full book, or just wait for the trade. But the single issue did come out, and it was a pretty interesting ending to that as well. And last but not least, yes, the #1 movie in the world, Wonder Woman, and DC did it again. They released a great complimentary comic this week with the Steve Trevor special #1. Now this just takes place, there's no Wonder Woman in this book, but it does actually have Steve Trevor and his little band of outlaws, was the Charlie, Chief, and the other guys. And it's kind of their adventure, all by themselves, kind of helping free a little, I guess a city or a jungle setting. Sorry, I forget the name of the place where they are. And just them working as a team without Wonder Woman, obviously until the end, where we have an inner monologue of how Steve Trevor feels about going to Themyscira and bringing Wonder Woman out of Themyscira to our world, and how he has a little bit of guilt towards what he did to her bringing her here. A good read and a very fun story for Steve Trevor this week, especially with all the hype of Wonder Woman. That's my pull list for this week. As always, please tune in to the Potbelly Gamers podcast. We are always live on the allgames.com radio network every Friday night from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, we're going E3. That's right. It's going to be our E3 preview show. Kind of excited what we're excited to see, what some of the rumors coming out of it are going to be, and lots of fun and exciting stuff. So please tune in for that this Friday night. And also, probably at the first half, we're going to do our Wonder Woman spoiler review as well this week. So we've all seen that, and we'll have a great in-depth conversation about that too. As always, I want to say thank you to Washikong for their support. Please visit washikong.com to see their great apparel, online comics, and toys. And as always, please go out and support your local comic book shops. Without them, we wouldn't have these great titles to pick up every week. And also, if you'd like, please support our Patreon page, which you can see at the end of this video, the address to there. And as always, please subscribe to the Potbelly Gamers YouTube channel. And if you can, like it here, comment down there, and we'll be chatting with you. Thanks. See you next week.
Hooray!